was Bambaataa. Brother Bambaataa had seen that film called Zulu. How many of you have seen that?
Shaka Zulu.
Shaka Zulu, yeah. Of course, it was done by the enemy to make us look stupid and weak. But if you look at the core of who he was and that spirit of whipping the British's ass every day of the week, 7 days and twice on Sunday, okay? And the brother never went to school, you know, none of that. But he had that spirit, he had that power, he had that God in him, and nothing or no one could stop him. Okay, of course, when they made the movie, they had to do the thing. I'd like to redo Shaka from my perspective. Shaka Zulu. How many of you people have seen a film called Geronimo, an American Legend with Wes Studi? I suggest you see that because there's a part in there that I saw it with all First Nations audience. And there's a part in there where they're doing a ghost dance. And, you know, the white man comes and he's got, of course, his Indian scout, his loyal Indian scout next to him. And they told the man to stop doing the ghost dance because the ghost dance was like hip hop. It made you aware of your roots and your culture and your spirit and your God. So what they did was they killed the dancer. They can't kill the dance and they can't kill the spirit, but they killed the dancer. So Wes Studi, who's playing Geronimo, looked at the Indian scout and said, "I can see into your heart." And the Indian scout takes a rifle out and aims it at him, but instead turns and shoots the cracker. One of the greatest moments. And for 5 minutes, nobody in the whole theater stopped screaming and hollering. It was like a powerful moment. It's called Geronimo, an American Legend. And they better hope that I never make a film.
I want to, you have a question?
Shoot a crack at some time.
I've been wondering this for quite some time, just because saying that I like his songs.
Recording the audio.
Okay. Thank you for coming to educate us again, Ernie.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you. Eternally, forever. Just your pictures capture so much history, and it's just so important. I like this. There's a saying though that I like to spread. It's that songs are prayers, and movies are dreams. So just you talking about that important movie, and you brought up a couple other movies and documentaries that are just we all need to see that probably aren't distributed in Canada or repressed by Hollywood. But I just wanted to know, like, what were some other movies or documentaries that helped really inspire you?
Two movies that, I guess the first movie that I can remember that totally, I don't even know what the word is. It's called El Topo. And El Topo is probably the most misunderstood movie ever made. It's a story of a gunslinger in the Old West and his dealing with oppression and violence. But at some point, you realize he's not a cowboy or a gunslinger. He's a samurai, but a spiritual samurai. And at one point, he changes and becomes a Buddhist monk. It's called El Topo. And they took this movie out of circulation. John Lennon and his wife Yoko Ono bought it, and it's just been released in a box set. There's a second movie that goes with it called The Holy Mountain. And you can watch it, and these movies, you can watch it on a superficial level because there's sex and violence and one thing and another, but nothing in there is wasted. And it's a Zen lesson, and it's literally like studying Zen Buddhism. It's called El Topo, E-L capital T-O-P-O, and the other one is called The Holy Mountain. And they had a profound influence on me because I was just getting into Buddhism at that time, but the effect that it had on me and my consciousness of Zen at that time was multiplied by about 100. El Topo and The Holy Mountain. Definitely you have to see them, and they're in a box set. They're pristine. For years I had to get them on Laserdisc and bootlegs from Japan and all this craziness, but El Topo, and you need to watch it alone and not have anybody yapping in your ear and not believe that it is exactly what you're seeing, but that there's spiritual realities in it. There's one scene in there that made me cry. They're in the desert, they have no water, and they're lost. And he puts his finger into the sand, and he said, the earth is a circle, and all you have to do is follow that circle. And for some reason, that light went on in my head, and tears came down my eyes, and I understood that was my Zen at that moment. So watch the movie, trust me, it'll have a profound effect on you, or it will not. If it doesn't, then you need to know why it doesn't.
Your question, I've been asking Ernie that question for some time, and eventually I'm going to get it all documented. We'll release it soon enough. I want to ask you about the Zulu Nation. You were around in formative conversations. You're still around those tables now. What's the 2014 conversation at the Zulu Nation?
The conversation has never changed. The conversation is always, how do we educate, feed, clothe, train, and aid our brothers and sisters? That's the only conversation we've ever had. And no one is more aware of the colonization of hip-hop than Africa Bear Mother. No one. Not even me, no one. And he has worked diligently every day of his life to decolonize hip-hop. You have to understand, colonization of hip-hop is colonization of us. Colonization of hip-hop, by having these little buffoons out there, having this madness, by getting somebody with minimal talent, giving them minimal talent, maximum exposure. And then we blame the youth because the youth imitate what they see. But that's always been the history of the earth. And it's our fault for not exposing them to Poor Righteous Teachers, Tribe Called Quest, Queen Latifah. There's a sister on the West Coast called Medusa. And if anybody doesn't know Medusa, I walked out of her show. I was watching her show. I walked out after 2 songs. My head just, maybe 3 songs, it was just like, you know, your head is full, I walked out. Medusa. Erykah Badu. There are just certain people that have such a profound power, and they do not get the exposure that the buffoons do. But the reason the buffoons get it is because that is part of a process, or part of a programming. That's why they call the person who runs the radio station a radio programmer. And that radio programming is not just to sell. And there's several reasons for the programming. One of them is fairly innocent, and that's to create a species called the uninformed consumer. They want you to be non-questioning, they want you to be non-thinking, they want you to automatically hear Mickey D's, I'm hungry, toy, Nike. I'm not a violent person and I don't believe in guns, but there are times where I walk through Harlem or Bed-Stuy or Brownsville and I see these little Foot Lockers out there or these little Nike stores or whatever, and people, brothers and sisters, sleeping on the streets for 7 days to get to pay $200 to get the brand new Air Jordans. And I want to go out there with a machete. Sneakers do not make you hip hop. You having the new Air Jordans a week before your friends does not make you hip hop. It makes you an uninformed slave, AKA consumer. So part of the programming is not just to make you neutral as politically neutral, which is akin to being dead, but it also makes you a consumer that buys food that kills your children, clothes that exploit the third world. And in Indonesia, the kids are paid 19 cents an hour, and they sell their sneakers for what, $146? And if you've ever seen those slave-like conditions that the children work in that make these things, you would never wear that crap on your body. Programming. That's what we do in Zulu. We deprogram in 100 ways. We give you the most important thing, which is to take a bad habit and replace it with a good habit. You smoke, well, let's give you a good habit. Let me challenge some guys in here to do 100 push-ups with me. You ladies like to smoke, and smoke is killing you? Let me teach you how to walk. Let's walk for 3 or 4 miles and see the rush you get and the things that go on in your head from walking out there in the sun and listening to the birds in the tree. You replace a bad habit with a good habit. These are just basic things that we do. And also, we do not give allegiance to any government or any country or any sovereign flag. We give respect to the human beings on this earth and beyond this earth who are down here now trying to educate and communicate with us. That's another thing. Millions of us have seen UFOs, millions, photographed and filmed. And the media tells you they don't exist or that it's some kind of clown show. And they always do these clown shows with the funny music.
Actually, I wasn't planning on showing this. We're going to go to this in a second, but real quick, this is where we're at.
Somebody's blowing up my phone, and I want the people to be here, so.
Yeah, answer that while I pull this.